4 turns deep
Yeah, it
in
looks
game
like
2.
turn 4 for Chris VanMeter here. While I think they took a pause so we could switch over. Looks like Chris VanMeter has a Wojciech Haberder, or I think that's Wojciech Haberder. Is that what his name?
Yeah, I think so. The 3/2, and if you have Battalion, he gets first strike.
Oh, that's sweet. Israel says, "Hi, Mom." Hi, Mom.
Hi, Israel's mom.
Yeah, hi, Israel's mom. Did you know that she went to college?
I didn't.
Your mom goes to college. The bad Napoleon Dynamite reference. All right, so looks like a War Leaders here. He looks from Chris VanMeter, kills Israel's only blocker. That allows 6 points of damage to come in on his side, putting Israel to 11. Chris VanMeter gaining a healthy 4 life there.
Yeah, so it seems like Israel Rivera with his Rakdos Cackler, he was trying to be aggressive. Not this game, though. This game is not looking good as the board stands.
Oh. Yeah, so he follows up with a Rubbleback Rhino, 3/4 hexproof. It's going to be kind of a roadblock for Chris VanMeter. And you see what I was talking about. Chris VanMeter does have a Cluestone in his deck, even though he's very aggressive. He does need the blue mana fixing because he doesn't have access to too many guild gates. I think he just has one Izak guild gate. He's pretty heavy on those 3 colors. In this scenario, it is helping him cast his flyer, which should be able to swing past most of the creatures out of the Jund deck of Israel Rivera.
Right, the Rubbleback Rhino, just the perfect play from Israel there, because Chris cannot have a removal spell to kill it and then swing in for 6. He would have to have some form of Blood Rush or Pump, which the Raka deck does not have.
Rebel Belt Raka.
Rebel Belt Raka.
Yeah.
New archetype.
Yeah. I don't think that Chris VanMeter has any Rebel Belt Rakas in his deck. Unfortunately, I don't remember seeing too much Blood Rush. A couple of cool combat tricks. The War Leader's Helix being one of the better removal spells that he has access to. Burning it a little early to kill a creature just to get in 6 damage, but he is an aggressive deck, and I think that's much more important to do in draft than it is to do in sealed deck. Israel continuing his gumming up of the board with a Scab Clan Charger, I believe. The 2/4 from Gatecrash.
Yep, he has no abilities when in play, but he does have the Blood Rush ability. Not what Israel is trying to do this game, though.
Alright, well, Chris shows his hand, as it were, and accidentally flops a mountain onto the table. Decides to play it. Why not? He has, it looks like, the red-white fuse card, Wear and Tear, in hand, to potentially kill some sort of enchantment from Israel, or just kill a Cluestone, or potentially a Keyrune. That flyer from Chris, he's trying to use it to take down the rest of Israel's life before Israel's able to take advantage of his superior, creature quality, as it were, since they are larger than Chris's. He is potentially exposing himself to a removal spell here, since he is deciding to attack with his Rubber Belt Rhino, as well as his Rakdos Cackler, which can block anyway. But luckily for Israel, Chris does not have much to follow up, just that Wear and Tear.
Yep, and right now, the Rubbleback Rhino doing some pretty good work on offense. He's a pretty good attacker, especially when you can Blood Rush him and not have to fear a combat trick from your opponent.
Yeah, it looks like Israel actually has Stab Wound here. He's going to cast that more than likely on the Windrake. However, he taps a 4th land, contemplates playing a different spell. If he can progress his board here to potentially attack for more damage next turn, maybe he wants to do that as opposed to leaving that Windrake in play for any more turns, attacking his life total any more than it has to. I think he's actually deciding to put it onto the Splatter Thug so that it deals him 2 damage a turn. That's an interesting play, simply because, it allows him... and he does get to turn on the Wear and Tear from Chris VanMeter because he decided to put it on a creature to deal damage as opposed to actually killing the Windrake, which is, affecting his life total much more.
Right, and so we don't know if Israel saw the Wear and Tear in game 1. If he did, I don't like that play, but if not, I do, because the Stab Wound on any Unleashed creature is really, really bad for the Unleashed creature's owner, just dealing 2 a turn and hard to get rid of, not through blocking.
Yeah. So here now, we're kind of even on board, while Israel's creatures are a little bit bigger than Chris's. We're at the same life total, and Chris also has an unblockable flyer. I'm not sure about the card he drew. We should get a look at that in a second. It looks like a spell that he can cast. Is that New Prov Guildmage?
It's like 1/2 mana. Chris is thinking here. It looks like a spell, not a creature. Yep.
All right. Is that Hand of Binding? Oh, wait, what is that?
Oh, that's a tap target permanent.
And then untap target permanent.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the card name right now, but that's huge. That lets Chris get in for a lot of damage here.
Yeah, so that's 8 total damage, putting Israel down to 1, and allowing Chris to untap a blocker here. So what he did was he tapped his opponent's, Scab Clan Charger, allowing his 2 3-power creatures to get in, and he got to untap another target permanent in addition to tapping a target permanent. So he gets to untap his Cluestone, have access to blue mana, and now he probably is going to untap his Wojak Halberders to make sure he doesn't die on the swing back in combat. Yeah, so he gets to activate the ability twice due to Cypher, so now he's probably going to untap the Wojak Halberders.
Yeah, but I see his Azorius Cluestone untapped. That's what he untapped with the first trigger.
Yeah, with the original casting of the spell, and then on the second resolution of the spell, he is probably going to untap a creature.
Looks like maybe untaps the Cluestone to draw an extra card here.
Oh, that's a heads-up play. Maybe he thinks I'm not going to draw a card, or sorry, I'm not going to, untap a Halberdier because I don't really want to block with it. Peels a Cinder Element off the top, so now Israel forced to move all in or have a removal spell.
Oh, Israel has a Zertar Swine. I think that's going to be lethal damage here.
Is this game?
I think it is.
Is that good?
If so.
Yeah, that looks like a big piggy. So he's attacking here for 7 points of damage, threatening more with Blood Rush, and unbeknownst to Chris VanMeter, Zertar Swine is going to be his demise for Game 2, and we should be moving to Game 3 rather quickly.
Yep, and if I was Israel, I wouldn't really be slow rolling the Swine. Chris is tapped out; he can't do anything here. I think it's proper etiquette just to show the Swine and move on here.
Yeah, you don't really want to give away too much information if you don't have to, and I do agree with you that in some situations that's true, but he's playing for a lot of money. I don't think Israel really plays in a whole lot of tournaments. As far as etiquette is concerned, he probably just wants to play as tight as possible, doesn't want to show the Zertar Swine until after Chris has declared blocks, just to make sure there's no confusion about the target and stuff like that. Right. You can activate the Blood Rush before blocks, and that would give Chris, the chance to block the bigger guy. I don't think that's anywhere close to what would happen, but, you never can be too safe. Right,
and, either way, Chris VanMeter understands they're playing for a lot of money. This is the untimed top 8 match, so I'm sure he can't really blame Israel for playing it safe there.
Yeah, they have, a reasonable time to finish. It's not actually timed. We do expect them to play at a reasonable pace, which it seems like both of them were from what we saw. Although they have spent approximately 39 minutes on the first 2 games. So if this were in the Swiss, they would only have about 10 minutes left to finish this game. But luckily, they have enough time to resideboard, shuffle properly, and get to Game 3.
That's right. And just a quick heads up, guys. In case you missed the first match, we asked our premium question. We're giving away 3 months of Star City Premium, so I'll repeat it in case you did miss it. What Southeastern U.S. City is hosting its first ever GP, and a few more hints. We've been talking about it all weekend, and it's being hosted by Star City.
Yep, and it's also in Glenn Jones's home state. If you need any more help from that, but other than that, I'm not going to give you more help because it's already easy enough.
Yeah, and just make sure you use the hashtag.
Yeah, and if you really want to know the answer, just go to Twitter, check the hashtag already. It's probably there.
Yep,
it's fine.
SCG Premium. Make sure you use that hashtag, or else your answer won't be counted.
Yes, sir. Also, if you use the hashtag Whoop, you'll get bonus points. The bonus points don't matter. Exactly like whose line is it anyway?
Whoop, 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 whoop.
We are not jabber-jawing, and I don't like that comment.
So, looks like Israel pile shuffles his deck there, make sure it's 40. He's thinking about his sideboard, as is Chris. Chris actually looks like he's making quite a few changes here, doesn't he?
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's important to note, we have toned down our voices a little bit here. The event hall is quieted down significantly due to the exit of most of the room. There's only about 20 people left in this particular room since the event is mostly over. The friends of the people in the top 8 all crowding around, watching the match. We don't want to be too loud, accidentally say something like Zertar Swine loudly and give away something that could be in one of the players' hands.
Right.
I'll try to keep the energy high, but it's hard to do when I can't yell. And I love yelling.
Yelling is so much fun, isn't it?
It's exhilarating.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing I like more than yelling.
Well, how about this?
Except maybe candy.
We can't talk about the Zertos wine in Israel's hand, but how about this? Maybe we can talk about like a card that's not in his hand. Say like Bobarigmos. Something like that.
I mean, we might could say that. I don't know. We don't know his deck list, but, so and we haven't seen him casted. So
probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
That might screw Chris VanMeter up just a little bit, playing around Bobarigmos all game, and then find out it's not even in any, it's not anywhere in the top 8. So we won't do that to poor CVM here.
Yeah. So Chris VanMeter is going to be on the play for Game 3. We do have some results from the rest of the top 8, though. The other 2 matches are finished. Let me take a look at
Anthony
this real quick.
Kando.
Yeah, Anthony Kando does defeat Eric Jones 2-1. He is another employee of Star City Games, so 2 Star City Games employees already into the top 4. If Chris VanMeter wins, that's going to be 3 of the top 4 all work at SCG. My good buddies.
Pretty impressive,
Yeah,
and you know what? I think that's a result of Roanoke. It's only about 3 hours away, 3.5 hours away.
And a lot of the local guys ended up coming this weekend just because it wasn't very far away. The other events happening in the country on the other side. I don't know why we got a picture of this guy's belly. I'm just going to throw it out there. That's a sweet shirt there. I'm not even going to say the name of it because it's kind of offensive. But,
Hey, man, Bama.
Tank top?
Roll top. Yeah, it's a tank top. That's the offensive one, I promise. So we see old Belly hanging out there.
Israel Rivera taking a quick bathroom break right now. They've been playing for almost 45 minutes.
What are you doing to me,
for
buddy?
more time before that.
Do I get to take a bathroom break too? Is that possible? I'm just kidding. I'm fine. I don't even. What were we talking about again?
I think we were talking about Tide.
Yeah, roll tide. So
I don't even know what that
I'm very
means.
glad we cut back to the booth because now I don't have to look at that dude's belly.
All right.
I get sick enough looking at my own, so
You know what? Maybe, man. Maybe someday his will be as mighty as your own. We'll see.
You're a jerk. All right, so the other result that we do have, though, Joshua Snyder does defeat Justin Kavanaugh 2-0 in the quarterfinals, and he will
That's right.
be moving on to the semis, getting that money.
Yes, sir. Josh Snyder, a member of the
belly.
United States
Can we get
Army.
him to move? Jeez. Get the people out of the background. Oh, my God.
Joe Snyder has his boys here supporting him.
Joe Snyder.
I'm sorry, Josh Snyder. What am I
Okay, we'll
talking
stop
about?
talking about it. I think it's funny though. So, so hopefully Israel's head will block the belly, or we'll just cut to the game. Either way, I'll be fine with that. Looks like they're both about ready to shuffle up and deal.
Yep, here we go. Chris VanMeter, I'm assuming he chose the play for Game 3.
Yeah,
Seems
more than
like,
likely.
Well, it seems like what he wants to do when his opponent's playing Rakdos Cacklers.
I can't believe.
You can't even finish that sentence.
No, I can't. It's too good.
So Chris VanMeter has a 6-lander. He's going to ship it back.
Oh,
he
man.
can't win the game with 6 lands.
No, sir.
He's going to need some 2-drops. He's going to need some aggression because he's playing what's mostly a Boros aggro deck, splashing a few blue cards.
Yeah, and it looks like Israel has a couple lands as well. It looks like he had a Rakdos Cackler, but he is holding his cards in a funny way, and I can't really see them. I did see a couple lands. I don't know if he had access to black mana. I thought I saw some forests and some mountains, as well as the Rakdos Cackler, but not a lot else was able to be garnered from that hand.
Yep, so Israel Rivera playing it cool here. You see his poker face there. It looks like he's actually trying to take a quick nap.
Look, man, we can't talk about poker. It's not allowed. We might get kicked out.
Poker face, poker face.
Oh,
No,
man.
we can't do that.
Yeah, if you do that one more time, I will not believe.
I quit.
Believe
This is
what I'm gonna do to
I
you.
can't sing Gaga on camera.
No.
No, but I can make all these puns. I can sing bad songs, but you can.
Well, you can sing. I can't. I think that's what the
I
difference
don't think
is
I
right
could
there.
sing that well. I do a mean karaoke of various of my favorite songs. My favorite of which is probably the new Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. I do a pretty solid impression of them. A very powerful song.
I believe you.
You believe me?
I do.
His belly wasn't in the shot anymore. Wasn't as good.
Alrighty.
We're gonna teach you guys to keep cutting their faces. We're gonna keep making these belly jokes.
So CBM looks like he has a 2-lander here. Both of them are islands, and neither one of those are his main colors. So I'm not sure if he can keep this one.
Yeah, and this is one of the things we were talking about with this deck is he doesn't have great mana fixing. Just the one is at Keyrune. I'm sorry, one is at Guildgate, as well as one clue stone, and the clue stone a little slow. He's really hoping to draw a mountain within the first couple draws so he can start casting his creatures.
Yeah, so CVM leads Island, and Israel Rivera mountain into 2/2 Cackler.
All right. Well, it looks like CVM drew a Plains, although the cards in his hand do look like they are red-based, so he still needs to draw a mountain before he can get any of his spells online, more than likely. Israel with that Cackler, followed up with this 2-drop. A lot of pressure here early from Israel, who the previous game didn't look like he was a very aggressive deck.
Yep, so we have the 2-drop there for Israel. He has a real lot of pressure, and CVM right now can't cast a single spell.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised Chris didn't go to 5 there. He's a very disciplined player, and I would expect him to make the calculated risk of going to 5 cards versus starting a hand with 2 of his off-color lands. Luckily, he has drawn a Plains and a Mountain here by turn 4. Which turns on all the spells in his hand, and we'll see exactly what he wants to cast. He has access to SCGCHAR to kill one of the creatures, though Israel's stuck on 2 lands, which is very important.
Like ununleashed Splatter Thug, a leashed Splatter Thug, if you will. The 2/2 first strike going to hold off.
Yeah, if you say ununleashed one more time, I will point it out that you said ununleashed. So Splatter Thug, a 2/2 first strike in his own right, without the Unleash ability, able to defend against both those creatures pretty easily unless Israel has some sort of pump spell, which looks like he has a Zertos Wine but still lacks that 3rd land.
Right, now if Israel doesn't have a play this turn, he'll probably be happy to trade the Zertos for the Splatter Thug.
This is the Stone Bluff, I am almost positive, and I would snap block one of these guys. Chris, you have plenty of gas in hand, you should probably just break him off. Hopefully, that bluff will punish him, and he doesn't have land to follow up, and then you can very easily take over the game with which looks like a War Leader's Helix and an Ordrum Commander, I believe.
Yeah, so Chris right now trying to decide what Israel Rivera is representing. Really, it's just anything that pumps toughness for 2, because he is attacking with the Skinbrand Goblin as well.
Yeah, and this is a fairly common play from people who are a little mana screwed. They do run this bluff a lot. There are a lot of cards he could be representing here that have Blood Rush. But honestly, for Chris VanMeter, if I were him, I would just say, yeah, your Blood Rush card is worth more than my Splatter Thug, and I'm going to block, and I'm going to mess you up.
Instead, Chris just takes the damage.
Yeah, and he does have that War Leader's Helix, so next turn he can make the same play where he waits on his opponent. He also has SCGCHAR, so he can play, a white-blue spell if he has a 2-mana spell, hold up for SCGCHAR or War Leader's Helix, and really punish Israel for running the same bluff, should he decide to do it. But Israel probably smart enough to know that he can't bluff when Chris has, a full grip and 4 mana and access to all his colors. He drew another card without hitting a land, though, and I think he's just going to have to move to discard here and not play a spell.
Pretty unlucky for Israel. He kept a 2-land hand on the draw, but so far we're on turn, turn 4 for him, and he has not hit a 3rd land yet.
Right, and it looks like here he's contemplating running that same bluff, and he is going to get annihilated. And honestly, I don't think he had the trick to begin with, so he's trying to run the same bluff since he's sort of running low on time due to not drawing lands. He has a lot of cards in hand, so should he draw out of it, it's not like losing that card was too big of a deal anyway.
Right.
So at the end of turn here, it looks like Chris should use his spell to take care of it, although he is letting Israel discard, so he's not using his mana very efficiently.
Yep, Moss Dog hits the bin. That will scavenge way later if it ever gets to that.
All right, well, it looks like Chris, was like, all right, is it the end of your turn? And then he's like, all right, Israel goes to discard. Chris is like, no, I have something to do. End of turn, cast that SCGCHAR. Has Annihilating Fire in hand. Doesn't draw another red source, but Cobble Brute, pretty menacing against a person with only 2 lands and no creatures to play. Israel bricks yet again on lands. This is pretty devastating. He has even drew a Gruul Cluestone, just kind of spitting in his face. Just his deck really not cooperating. This is kind of unfortunate for him.
Oh, there's a mountain. Finally, can Israel Rivera claw back into this game?
It does look like his hand is full of black spells too, so he really needed to draw that swamp. If all he has is that Cluestone here, I think that he's just going to be dead. 7 damage from Chris VanMeter, and if I am not mistaken, he does have that War Leader's Helix in hand. Dealing 4 damage plus the 7 in play is going to be game.
Right, here we go. There's the Keystone, but it's not going to be enough.
All right, well, I was probably mistaken, I suppose, about the War Leader's Helix. Otherwise, Chris definitely would have just pulled the trigger there and killed him. Deciding to attack Israel here down to 4. And, you know, holding up, he's got a couple of spells in hand, maybe not really able to cast them. He only has a few islands in his deck, has drawn 3 of them, and not the right other colors. Potentially giving Israel an out back into this game. It just all depends on what both players decide to do over the next few turns.
Right.
Should, you know, the game progress that far.
If Israel can deploy a couple of threats here, which I don't even think he can, all his cards are black in hand.
Yeah, I mean, he has, you know, a Zertos Wine, which he can't cast. He has an Electrickery, which doesn't do anything, and I think the rest of the spells are black, and he can't cast a single one of them because he doesn't have a Swamp.
Yeah, so unfortunate that the last game of the match decided by mana problems, but you know, this is Ravnica, and if you don't draft your guild gates highly enough, you will get punished for it. So here we go, 1/2 mana.
So it looks like we're sacking the Cluestone when we're mana screwed. That is a desperation move if I've ever seen one. Draws the Golgari Guildgate, yet another just kind of disappointing draw there for Israel Rivera. So still had all these spells I couldn't cast versus still had all these spells I couldn't cast. Luckily, Cobble Brute, a very easy spell to cast, and one that's extremely solid against someone who can't get out of a mana screw.
Yeah, Cobble Brute will punish someone